In this session, we will see something about the software testing techniques. We will start with what is testability. How I should say, when can you say a software is testable, or what is the degree of testability? Then we will see something about white box and black box testing. Okay. So if we will be able to complete today, it will be the last session for testing. So actually, testability is something about how easily we can test the computer program. For that, we used to see these few properties, I should say characteristics. You know? So our software module should be operable, means how good, how okay, the better it works, the more efficiently we can test it. You know? So it should be good operable. As operable it is, we can test it better. Observable means I should say what we see is what we test. Okay, ठीक है. Then controllability is the better we can control the software, the better we can decompose, means the better we can if we have the modules, you know, if the software is divided in modules, it is better, you know. The testing will be better. Simplicity means how simple it is. As simple it is better to find the defects. Means for that we will need simple test cases to make, or maybe we will be able to use the pre-existing test cases. Stability means stable means how many changes we have made in the software. Huh? If we have made less changes in the software, then it means we may have less disruption in the testing process. Another thing is understandability, in which means more understandable it is, then it is better. Means if we have more information about the software, we can make good test cases. You know? So this is just something about how easy the testing process can be if the software module is having these characteristics. So this is something about the program, है ना? This software should have these characteristics. What about the testing? There should be some characteristics of good test, right? A good test is one which has high probability of finding errors. Also, good test will run the test cases only once, है ना? It should not repeat. Again, means unknowingly. Sometimes if we do testing haphazardly, we execute the test cases unknowingly many times. Another thing is best of breed. Test cases should be best of breed, means sometimes we understand that we cannot execute all the possible combination of inputs. In that case, we should check, we should consider those test cases which cover a wide range. Means if we test the system for these particular inputs, then it will be able to cover many more test cases. Now, a good test should be neither too simple nor too complex. Okay, so we can also use combination of simple and complex test cases. So basically, this is the part for which you have gone through the last 3 lectures. Basically, the testing can have these kind of views, internal or external views. Means internal view is something when you have an understanding of the internal working of the system. Internal working means the code, you understand the code, right? If you understand the code, then it will be means you have an internal view. So you will perform the testing, it will be called as white box testing. The other possibility is external view, when you are only aware of the specified function. Means what are the required functionalities that the system should have. In that case, you don't know about the internal logic, internal code. You know? In that case, it will be black box testing. Okay, so in black box testing, basically you will conduct the tests at the software interface only. Okay, some fundamental aspects of a system, and you don't worry about the internal logic. However, in white box testing, you will go through the internal logic of the code. So now I am starting something white box testing and black box testing. So first is white box testing. It is also called glass box testing because glass means you can see inside, right? So here you are aware of the structure of the code, the data structure being used, the logic being used, and the code throughout. So you can see the code. That's why it is being called glass box. It's okay. So basically, what you are going to do is you are going to derive the test cases that guarantee that all independent paths within the module are executed at least once. Okay. All the logical decisions have been executed, you know, both for their true part and also for the false part. All the loops have been tested, and importantly on their boundaries. All the data structures have been validated for their working. So for this, what you are going to do, you will have maybe a basic part testing or a control structure testing. This is under white box testing. In white box testing, you are performing the tests which are code aware. So here in basic part testing, you try to find out all the possible different paths in the system, and then you derive the test cases for each individual path. Control structure testing means some of the control structures or something, if at all they are left out after path coverage, then at least what control structure is saying that we should cover all the control structure. Control structure means the conditions or the loop conditions, loop structures, these should be covered. So let me show you that we usually draw a flow graph for our code. Once you are aware of the code, you can see the code. For this code, you can create a flow graph. You have been creating some flow chart. It is little different from the flow chart. It is flow graph. You will see how it is different. Let me tell you these notations, that if you have a sequence means one code after another, means one statement, after that another statement, next statement. So if you want to show that this is the first and this is second, you used to show an arrow between these two statements. Most importantly, as you will see now in the flow graph, if there is no control structure between the statements, so we can merge the statements in one circle, one node, I should say, node in the graph. So if two statements are there, three statements are there, they can be merged in one node. If you want to show the if statement, it is like this. If this control is coming from this side, from here, either yes or no. If it is the switch case, three conditions are possible. So you can show it like this: until means repeat until. Until means it from here it is going to test, do while loop. Okay, there is something called while loop which will test before entering the loop. So you can show these notations in the program like this. Now, suppose you have a flow chart like this where these are the statements. After the start, we are naming it like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what is happening? Here you can see we have 1 here. It is a control structure. Either we will go to yes or we will go to no. So either yes or we will go to 11. Now here we can see 2 and 3 are merged together for one conditional statement. So these are merged together. And similarly, here 4, 5, these two statements are merged together. We are drawing this flow graph just to find the path. So this is a particular path. If at all this is a path, it doesn't matter how many statements were there in this path. Yeah, if at all it is having a control structure, then it will have a node. So this is like this. So for this flow chart, you have drawn this flow graph. Here, these are the nodes, these are the edges, and something here it is regions. You can see one bounded portion is being called as region. Another bounded portion is called as region. So here in this diagram, in this flow graph, Aviral, I am asking you, here in this diagram, how many regions are there?
1, 2, 3, so 4.
You are saying 4 regions. How?
Sir, one region is the node 1, 2, 3. But in flow graph, right? So one region is between node 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 10.
Okay.
That's one region. And the second region is between 2, 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, 4, 5. And then third region is between 6, 7, 9, 8. And the fourth region is outside, like.
Oh, very good. You are aware of these things. So definitely the bounded region and one outside. It is the 4 regions. So if you want to represent the compound logic, means if X or Y, means sorry, if A or B, then it will be represented like this. For A, there will be a path, yes or no, and then for B, yes or no. So you need to find the independent paths in this white box testing. For finding independent paths, what you can do, you will draw the flow graph and then try to find the independent paths from this region, this graph. So if this was the graph, you can you have already found that there are 4 regions. It's okay. Can you find the 4 paths? Definitely, starting from 1, there was one path directly to 11. So 1 to 11. Another was maybe 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it is coming this direction. Okay, after 10 it has to go again to 1. Another was another path from here, another path from here. So these are the 4 independent paths. If we would not be aware of this flow graph, what would happen? We may be executing more than 4 test cases or maybe several test cases to get confidence in this. But with knowledge of this independent path, we are aware that if we will be testing for only these 4 test cases, we will have enough confidence to say that we have covered all the paths, so it might work for all the cases. So now the question is how many paths you should cover. So for this there is something called cyclomatic complexity of the software module. This is a measure, I should say software metric, which provides you the quantitative measure of the complexity of the program. Okay, so this actually tells you the upper bound of the number of independent paths, that these many maximum these many independent paths are possible in a given flow graph. So there are 3 ways to find out this cyclomatic complexity. First is you will find the number of regions in the flow graph, and the number of regions is actually the cyclomatic complexity. The another option is from the graph theory. In the graph theory, you would have seen there is some equation like this. Vg is equal to, means the Vg is only for cyclomatic complexity. So cyclomatic complexity is E minus n plus 2. Okay, where E is the number of edges, n is the number of nodes. Okay, this is for a simple flow graph, simple connected flow graph. Okay, now the third option is to have predicate node plus 1. Predicate node means the condition nodes. It can be a loop node, means condition node of loop, from where the loop is starting, or it can be a branch statement, maybe the if condition, if or switch kind of thing. So these many predicate nodes plus 1. Then how to find this thing? So for example, it is given the graph. In this graph, you have already seen that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 regions. So for 4 regions, it means 4 cyclomatic complexity is 4. So in competitive examinations, usually cyclomatic complexity comes where this flow graph, we can have 3 different ways to find cyclomatic complexity. First was just finding the number of regions. So the number of regions will tell you the cyclomatic complexity. Another option was this formula Vg is equal to number of edges, 11 edges minus 9 nodes plus 2. It is also giving you 4. Predicate nodes, you can see how many predicate nodes you have. You have predicate nodes as 1, 2. Bolo.
So presentation is not going.
Presentation is not going.
Yes, sir. Presentation is not going.
Yeah. So this was something where I was telling you that there are these 3 ways. The first was the number of regions, another formula was edges minus nodes plus 2, another was predicate nodes plus 1. No. Okay. So for the given program, what you do, you recognize that what can be the nodes, and according to that you create a flow graph. So what you are doing, see, from here to here you are making this hole as node 1. Okay, After that, here in this condition, you are seeing there are two conditions. So for that, you are making two nodes, 2 and 3. Then this is fourth statement. Another fifth was having two conditions, 5 and 6. Then this whole thing is just one node. This is another one node, another node. This way. So for a statement or a group of a statement, you can have one node. So by this way, you will create a flow graph. For this, a flow graph is here. You can see. You will create, consider these as one, then 2, 3, two conditions separately. Either you can go out just from the first, it is AND condition, so, or from the second. So in this way you can draw the graph. So what I was telling you is you will draw the graph. From the graph you will determine the cyclomatic complexity. This will tell you the number of independent paths, and then you will find the number of independent paths, and consider, and for these all independent paths you will find the test cases. So for this graph you will see these are the paths, independent, 6 different independent paths you have found. So for these 6 independent paths you will create the test cases so that all these 6 paths are covered. So by covering these 6 paths only, you will have enough confidence to say that your code is working nicely.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
So how these paths are defined?
How these paths are defined? Okay.
Yes, sir.
This was the flow graph. Can you understand that we can make a flow graph for the code?
So this flow graph is pre-made, or we made with some technique or some code?
No technique. It is just a technique like consider this as a statement or a group of a statement as a node. Here it is first, second, and third statement. For these 3 statements, you are making one node. If you would have made 3 different nodes here, even then it would not be wrong. But the thing is, if you will group them, then the graph will be shorter.
Sir, but in what manner these nodes are connected?
The nodes are connected means the first statement, second statement. So it is telling you the order of execution.
Okay.
So the only important thing is for every predicate, every condition, there should be a node. You can merge some statement with it. You can merge different statements in one, but as for example here, then these whatever, they all are merged here in one node, no problem. But if you have a condition, you will have to make a node.
Okay.
So here what you have done for this graph, you have tried to find what is the cyclomatic complexity. Cyclomatic complexity, find the cyclomatic complexity. What is the cyclomatic complexity of this? Tell me.
So cyclomatic complexity is to find the number of regions in the flow graph to determine the number of independent paths.
Okay, so how many, what is the cyclomatic complexity? Tell me the value.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6?
Yes.
Ritik, do you agree? It is 6?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yes, sir. 6.
Okay.
6.
6 है ना?
Yes, sir. There are.
Okay. So it means we will have at most 6 different test cases. Means we can have more than that also, but 6 test cases are enough to cover all the paths. Okay. So for one reason we will take one path. So one path can be 1, 2 like this. Another path can be 1, 2 like this. Or it can be 1, 2, 3 like this. It can be one path can be like this. One path can be like this. The only thing is, every new independent path should have at least one new edge. One edge like 6, 7. One edge which is not covered by any other path. Okay, at least one edge. So here you started with 1, 1, 2. From here 1, 2, 10.
Sir, but 6, 7 age is covered by another path.
Which path?
Right.
Path number 6.
Okay.
Hello?
Okay, that's yes, sir.
So you can see here, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9. Another 5, 6, 8, 9. Hello? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But it is having one extra edge, one edge which was not covered. Hello? Like 5, 8. 5, 8 is an edge. For that there is one path. So that is the way, means there is no automatic way to find the path. Maybe you can have an automatic way, no problem. But for now, we have not automated it. So there can be some software, don't worry. But this is the way, given the flow graph, if you have the flow graph, you can find the independent path. For each independent path, you will have to find the defined test cases. Now in control structure, what we are saying is the condition testing, means all the conditions and the loop statements should be tested. So different kind of loops can be there. Simple loop, maybe it can be nested loop. We also call it concatenated loop, one loop after another loop. Another can be unstructured loop, means one loop inside loop nested, or maybe going this thing, go to a statement kind of thing. Then now we are coming towards black box testing. We will try to cover it where in white box testing we have seen that we had the code, and we are aware of the code, its structure, its data structure, and all the condition statements. Now we are unaware. In black box means we cannot see inside. So in glass box or white box, we could have seen inside, we could see the code. In black box, we cannot see the code. So we just know the functionality, that these are the functionality, these are the functional requirements of the software, and we will test whether these functional requirements are all being satisfied or not. So we will see here whether the functions are correct or not, or maybe some of them are missing or not. The interface is correct or not. We will see the how it is interacting between the GUI and the database. How the behavior performance error, means how it is performing, load testing or stress testing kind of things. Initialization and termination error. While initiating, there can be certain kinds of error, dependency on certain things, environment. Termination error, at the time of termination, what happens. So these kind of things we will try to find out here. Some of the techniques that we are going to see is equivalence partitioning. Okay, what happens in equivalence partitioning is we are testing the functionality, right? So for testing the functionality, we will give certain kind of input to the system, and we will check the output with the expected output. Okay, we had some expected output, now we are getting some actual output. So we will see, we will see whether they are same or not, the actual and the expected. If at all not, there is some defect, right? So for that purpose, the first thing is equivalence partitioning. What we are doing is, these inputs are always in some range. So this range can be partitioned. Okay, maybe the range was from 1 to 100, and you partitioned it into 4 different groups: 1 to 25, 25 to 50, 50 to 75, 75 to 100. And then what you did, from each group, each partition, I should say, let me tell you, each equivalence class. From each equivalence class, you will consider few, maybe 1 or 2, or maybe few, I should say, or 1 is also enough. So few test cases for from each equivalence class. That is only the thing. Means it is not that randomly you have tested 1 or 2 or few test cases. The thing is, you will try to cover the whole range. Okay, and for that you will partition the whole range into different subsets, and from each partition, from each equivalence class, you will consider some test cases, so that all the range is covered. This is equivalence partitioning. So you will try to define the equivalence class. How you will define? They are saying that, say, if you have a specified range, then you will have 1 valid and 2 invalid equivalence class. Means you have defined one range, it was 1 to 100. So if you are considering this one range as one equivalence class, no problem. You will have 2 extra equivalence class, which is less than this range and greater than this range. Okay, less than, if it was 1 to 100, then less than 1, 1 to 100, and greater than 100. 3 test cases. So 3 equivalence class. From these equivalence class, if you are considering just 1 test case, it is also enough for this equivalence partitioning, black box testing. The another thing is, if at all it is a specified value, it is input condition requires a specific value, then 1 valid and 2 invalid equivalence class. Member of a set, if at all the input should be member of set, then 1 valid and 1 invalid, means 1 test case considering the value from the set, another out of the set. If it is Boolean, then 1 valid and 1 invalid. Boundary value analysis. Usually we have seen that the system fails at boundaries. So we should check, we should test the system for the boundaries. It is test cases should be derived for the boundary condition. So if, see here, if an input condition specifies a range bounded by A and B, okay, from 1 to 100 means A to B. In that case, what you are going to do, A and B are important. So you will define test case for A minus 1, A and A plus 1. Also, you will have test case for B, B minus 1 and B plus 1. Okay. What boundary value analysis is saying is, yeah, these boundary conditions are important. So if you are checking these 6 values, just these 6 values, it is enough to say that this range has been covered, because A plus 1 and B minus 1 was within the equivalence class A to B. Then A is also there. Now A minus 1 is also there. A minus 1 is the part of another equivalence class. B plus 1 was the part of another equivalence class. So in this way, this boundary value analysis is a nice way to perform the black box testing. Another thing is, if the input condition specifies a number of values, in that case, you should consider the minimum and maximum numbers. Okay. So means the values where the minimum and maximum numbers are there. In that case, you should consider the values below and above the these things, maximum and minimum values. In that case, now this is the first two guidelines, है ना? Okay, this is just example. So similarly, whatever the conditions are coming, these are not the final list, but whatever the conditions are coming, in the boundary value analysis, what I am telling is, you have to check the boundary values. Okay, these are important. Now next is nothing, but here what you are going to see is these are all black box testing techniques, where what you did, you try to test the functionality where the specified functionality is being covered or not. Another one more testing technique was orthogonal array testing, where actually here you are talking about one variable. One variable is leading to some range, in some range. Now when you have multiple variables, they will have different ranges. In that case, you will try to consider the boundaries. Okay, so with multiple variables, if you are trying to consider the boundaries, you will you may confuse. So there is something called orthogonal array testing, which is saying that how to find the boundaries in multiple variable system. So if you have different variables, you will be able to find the test cases. You will draw you will not draw anything, means you can consider them like if you have the 2 or 3 variables, then the 3 test cases maybe in the range you have defined. For A to B, you have defined A minus 1, A plus 1. Similarly, you will define these 3 test cases for all the 3 of them, means 3 variables, and you will consider one test case where you will test, in one test case only you will test all the 3 variables, है ना? So in this way you can minimize the number of test cases for multiple variables. So that is the few important things that you should know. Another thing that was there, maybe you should go through book, but one thing that I should have said was load testing. Another was stress testing. So are you aware of load testing? Load, what do you understand with load testing? Basically, in conventional systems, load was not that important, but in this web applications, particularly, this load was important, where it will tell you that how many, basically, I should say, how much it is being used. Many means how many number of concurrent users are there, and how many online transactions are being made, or data processing. The server server is processing the data per transaction. So multiplication of these 3 things actually: number of concurrent users, online transactions being made, and data load per transaction. This will be considered as the load of the system. So how it behaves when the load increases, that is the thing. Another was a stress testing. Stress testing means if the load increases, load increases, okay, how should I say it, like means what happens if the system gets to deal with the load more than its capacity. Okay, it has certain capacity. If the load exceeds the capacity, what happens? Whether the system remains working and degrades a little, degrades gently, or just shut down. So that is called stress testing. So these are few things that we had to see in the testing system. Not much. So these are certain things. Now, if you have to ask something, you can ask.
Sir, I had a doubt, but not relating to this. So that GitHub repository link that you sent us. So, sir, will it be fine like if one person of the groups uploads all the work, like
no,
in one group? Or
you will upload, means at the first time one can upload, no problem.
Yes, sir, because like in my group, Aditya and Tabish are there. So we did all our individual part. Tabish did his, Aditya did his, and I did mine. But all three of us sent our code to Tabish so that he can link them. So like Tabish is having code of all three of us. So will it be fine if he uploads?
Yeah, no problem, no problem. For now, see, for now what you have the code, it is okay. Definitely any one of you will upload. After that, you will see with this system of GitHub, what will happen, the code will remain updated always, and you will need not send the code to someone to merge. This GitHub will help you in merging the code. You will just be able to merge the code directly. So, and I will also be able to monitor who is merging what part of code.
Yes.
That is only the thing. So first upload is no problem, whoever uploads. We will have another session for this. I will let everybody know. So for now, I think this software engineering course we are trying to complete here. If at all you want another any discussion on any other topic, we can do that. For now, I think this testing part was important. So I have made this thing, and I will put it in the Google Classroom. Whoever wants to see whenever he wants, they are free to see. Also, the book Pressman was important. You should go through this book, and actually you should keep going through this book. Pressman book is nice book, and always it will help you whenever you will try to if you have some doubt in software engineering.